Now, for today's show. Almost a year ago, when I returned to zone training at Genesis Fitness Box Hill to prepare for my first ever hike. Now, it wasn't a hike up the 1,000 stairs in the Dandenongs. It was the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. And I thought I was pretty fit. Then horror. When my predictable environment changed with a brand new trainer, Janelle, she was something else. In my face and working me out in more ways than one. She had very different ideas about my levels of fitness, and most of them really pissed me off. She wanted to change everything. Do it this way, go harder, lift more, pull your bum in, imagine a piece of string, blah, blah, blah. She would kick me up the arse when I needed it, never let me take it easy, and instinctively always knowing where the line was between pushing me hard and genuinely caring. The thing is that she really had one of the best things in mind for me, and that was to get me up and down that mountain. So when I stood at Machu Picchu earlier this year, I knew I hadn't got there alone. Along with my podiatrist and osteopath, Janelle's dedication and commitment to what she does so well helped me make that accomplishment possible. But the energy Janelle brings every day didn't appear by accident. Today she's going to tell us about growing up with generational trauma, losing her father to suicide as a young girl, addiction, recovery, and the moment she decided she was tired of being sick and tired. We'll also yak about family purpose and why helping other people discover they are capable of more than they believe has become such an important part of her life. Because we don't get to choose where we're born, the families we're brought into, or many of the experiences that shape our early lives. What we can do is decide what we do next. And Janelle's story is a beautiful reminder of just how much is possible. Welcome to the show, Janelle.
Thanks for having me on.
And I might even turn your mic on. Just for kicks. There you go.
You can hear me?
Not really, because that mic's... Try now.
Can you hear me?
Try that. You can speak.
This one?
No, the other one.
This one?
That's the one. That's the one.
Fantastic.
Straight into that. Now, this show, people, is a perfect example. Now, Janelle, if you just stop doing what you're doing right now and just focus on there, you will notice I don't have my pop screen either. This show is a perfect example of when things don't turn out like we expect. And I said to Janelle earlier, I said, I'll pick you up at 9:15. I'll bring you in because sometimes not everything works out technically at 3WBC. Sure enough, we're all prepared, ready to go on air. And then Studio 2 just was not working. So what did you think of that shenanigans, Janelle?
I'd like to think that that's life. You know, you've got to remain adaptable, and I got to see your adaptability, and you come in, you get it done, and you move on.
Teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work.
It does, doesn't it? So here's a question for you after all that. Now, just pull your mic a bit closer to you so we can hear you very clearly. There we go. What does it feel like being you today?
Right this second, I would say I'm a little bit nervous, but also I've got a giant smile. I feel comfortable. I love what I do, and I get to talk about that. And so I feel pretty empowered right now.
But great answer. Well, multiple answers to one very simple but powerful question. Now, we met, as I mentioned, at the end or the start of December last year, and that's so true. I remember walking going, "Who's this?" I'm great with change on many fronts, but the simple things often rattle me. So I don't know this person, and you were very loud, and you were very enthusiastic, and you were bubbling over with all this energy, and it felt like I'm not sure what this is. And straight away you were onto me, and that made me feel really uncomfortable. But what better place to get uncomfortable than when you're trying to transform yourself?
Well, I'm a great believer in getting uncomfortable to get comfortable. If we sit in comfortability, we'll sit there our whole lives and just let the world go past. So seeing you walk in, I could almost see the swear words coming out of your head. Who's this? What's going on? You know? And I was like, this is someone that likes to be pushed, and being able to pick up on the vibe of different people. And you stood out, I would have to say.
Thank you. Well, I think.
In a good way. In a good way.
But it really is. I mean, it is quite a personal space, the gym, especially when you have something in mind for your body, not maybe so much your mind, but then you realise it's all about your mind. And getting to that point of, enjoying turning up to the gym was something quite significant. So, and you're a big part of that. So fast forward almost, getting on to a year, and the community that's been built at that morning session. We get there at like 5:30 in the morning. What time do you get there?
I get there around about 5:10.
Yeah.
So waking up at 4:30, coming in, and I would say your group come in looking a little worse for wear, and then the energy starts building.
Yeah.
As you said, great community of people.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Everybody in that group is so kind, and, whilst we go there and we work hard, there's a lot of banter and a lot of taking care of each other, and good conversation. And there's one person in particular, he said he was going to listen in today, but I don't think he will, David. David has like this magical thread, golden thread, that he knits through every single person. It doesn't matter if you only turn up once every few weeks or something. David knows everything about you, and he will make a point of asking questions about yourself. And it's just incredible.
I absolutely adore David. He has an extremely special part in my heart. And sometimes you'll notice I do separate you two because I do want you to also get the most out of your session rather than just chatting. But at the same time, it is that community. So there's that balance.
Yes, that's right. But it's an important part, isn't it, of feeling safe?
100%. We don't just come to the gym, as you said, for our bodies. It's not just our mind either. It's what's on the inside. It's what makes us feel good about ourselves. Community, feeling strong, feeling seen is a huge part of it as well. Absolutely.
And feeling like you're almost like being prioritised.
100%.
And I think, if we talk about community, and, we both live in this community. This is Whitehorse Burundara community radio where we're sitting right now, and we live in the Blackburn area, which is part of that. And, Lucas Bagaya, I think that's how you say it, is his surname. He's the owner of Genesis and has been since 2009. And I joined as a foundation member all the way back then, so I'm no stranger. I have done group training before, but I love what he creates there. It's a real community bit, and when COVID happened, he did amazing things to keep the gym going and to keep people engaged, and for that, I'm very grateful.
Huge shout out to Lucas. I absolutely adore having chats with him. I often say we could solve the world's problems, him and I. Really bringing that gym together as a community is a huge part. I agree.
Yeah. And, everybody that it serves, it's truly amazing. And I'm sure every community has their own gym, their own bakery, their own supermarket. But I think we forget to focus on community and how that keeps people safe.
And during COVID, you mentioned I was in the car park down there as a client working out. So I'm so glad he was adaptable.
Yes. And that's a part of your story that we're going to jump into later, because it's a big part of it, that moment in life. But if we're just sort of talking about today, what is it like being a trainer?
Oh, wow. See, these are big life questions. For me, being a trainer isn't just what I do. it is now part of who I am. And that is in all aspects of my life. I guess being a trainer for me is showing up for people when they can't show up for themselves and letting them see what it is that maybe they don't see.
Yeah.
And a day in the life of a trainer, I've got to be careful I don't bring that home. My kids don't want mum telling them left, right and centre what to do.
So you don't train your kids?
I would love to.
Yeah.
But because mum says so, it's almost like they turn around and go, well, I'm not going to then.
It's like, I don't know with your kids, but if you tell them to do something and it's like, nah, and then they go to somebody else's house and their mum says the same thing, you'll never believe what such and such as mum said. It's like, yes.
Drives me insane. My son has to do specific exercises for his knee.
Yeah.
And, you know, his specialist is like, mum's a trainer, she'll show you what to do. For a full month until the follow-up, he wasn't doing it, and now Dad's doing it with him and he'll do it. Dad's not a trainer.
No.
Don't worry, I wrote the program for Dad to go through with him. But if Dad's showing him, not because, you know, there's that hierarchy, but just, you know, mum said it such a long time ago and I'm not going to do it, but I'll do it because it's new with Dad.
Yeah. Wow. But were you able to train David, your husband?
Yes. And he has made huge gains, not just physically, but he also said he didn't realise how much it affects so many aspects of your life. You know, like you touched on the mind, the physical and the insides.
Yeah.
And he continues to train. So I'm really proud of him and what he's achieved.
Yeah. Was it hard training to be a PT? Like how long does it take?
To be a PT, the first thing you have to undertake is actually get qualified as a group trainer. So you can't just go straight into your personal training qualification. And let's just say I'm not in my 20s anymore. And the majority of the class was. So automatically I'm on not what I would call the back foot, but for me, I was already maybe not as up there as the kids that get to spend 24/7 in the gym. I'm a mum. I'm wearing all these different hats. So the training itself, I guess I like when you're passionate about something. I couldn't wait to get the assignments done and get my teeth into it.
But it's quite intense in it's not about, I think some people I know that have done it have had this idea, I'm going to go in and I'm going to train people, I'm going to be on the floor with them, showing them what to do. But there's a lot about biology and physiology and
a lot of background work, definitely. And in an ideal world, when I do one-on-one, the first session is sitting down, looking at goals. What are your current habits? How's this going to fit into your life? What's your posture like? Doing all of the, I guess, person-centered initiation of, I'm not just going to write you a generic program. Let's look at fixing what needs to be fixed first, posture-wise, you know. And we all go to the hairdresser, right? Our personal counsellor. I think PTs are a bit like that as well. You know, people are opening up to you.
Yeah.
And it's quite a privilege to find out what their motivation behind this is. And for me, I don't necessarily like to focus on the weight aspect of it.
Like weights, or as in weight?
As in weight is what's on the scale.
Right, okay.
Definitely for lifting weights.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're very, wow, could bump you up a bit, Rae. Are you lifting enough?
Yes, exactly. You know from experience. The weight of the world's expectations.
Yes, yeah.
is huge on a lot of people that come in.
Well, you also, and we'll talk about this in the show, well, you've got to focus on 50 plus kind of women and men, or just men?
Both, yes.
And that's a time, I mean, gosh, I'm almost 60, and I know from my knees to under my boobs, there is nothing, I feel like there's nothing I can do to budge that. And that's, and I know that there's probably ways around that, but you as my personal trainer will be able to help me with that. But, in terms of reading a room, and there's a whole range of different shapes and sizes and ages and personalities that come into the room. You seem to know exactly how to encourage somebody and when to leave them alone. How do you figure that out?
I would say that comes with age and experience.
Do you reckon? So, because I would hotly dispute that.
I think having the diverse background of growing up, that we'll get into later, being able to read a room based on a certain look, a micropause, a look of, I don't know, either contempt or joy.
Horror.
The
crying probably is a good sign sometimes.
Yeah, the rocking in the corner. Yeah. I think I've worked in other industries as well where my life depends on being able to read people. So it becomes almost an instinct, and I don't think that's something you can necessarily teach.
No. So is it something that just comes naturally to you?
I would say so. Not something that I've focused on in the past.
Have you ever got it wrong where you've...
Oh, yes.
And really annoyed somebody?
Oh, yeah. In that particular setting, there are certain personalities that are stuck in their ways and have bitten back. But then I know then there's a gentle approach and there's a way around it without being as hard. It's also a good wake-up call for me.
Yeah. I know you use the sort of analogy of a hairdresser, and a hairdresser to me is like, just get in there and effing cut it. That's your job. Don't dilly-dally around with stuff. And a PT came to me a few weeks ago and said, and I decided to do my own thing because it was just something that didn't want to affect my knee or my wrist or something or other. So I was doing something different, and this person said, so are you going to do the exercise like on the screen? And I just said, no. But it was like, there's so many different ways you could ask that. Like, are you uncomfortable doing that? Is there a reason why you've adapted that, that I can help you with? So it's a very fine line, I think, between annoying somebody and being useful.
And also with age, for me, comes physical ailments. So I know what my body is capable of. I'm not 20 years older now, and I look at people and go, well, why can't you do that? Look at what I can do. So you can see people doing some alternative, and you'll be like, I will approach it like, oh, have you tried it maybe this way? And give another option that's just as impactful, but maybe, and not even a regression, just something that's still working that body part, but is just as impactful.
Well, I think more so it's safer a lot of the time. You'll correct something that, it's safer on your body, but also you know me well enough to know where I want to work, and you'll get a lot more out of this if you just do that. And, these days I'm very grateful for that. And I see you do it with other people as well. And on that, when you see somebody get results, like you see, I went from 120 kilos to 60. No, I didn't at all. But when you see people getting results, like lifting a bit more or something, how does that feel for you?
Even you just mentioning it right now, I've got goosebumps. It makes. How do I say it? Like, I'm almost lost for words because it's what I work for.
She looks like she's crying, actually. She has got tears in her eyes, yeah. We didn't bring the Kleenex from the bloody studio too.
Trust me, I've got a good sleeve here.
It's denim.
Seeing their eyes light up and seeing them realising what they're capable of. I know that feeling personally. So to see it in someone else is honestly beautiful. Like, I'll come home and my poor husband, oh my God, you'll never guess what? We got 3 personal bests today and they didn't think they were capable of it. And oh my goodness, you know, this is the stuff. It's great I get paid. Don't get me wrong, but this is the stuff I come in for.
And it's another way of interacting with the human condition that I think we underestimate. I mean, you look at how much psychologists get paid, how much, you know, and again, there's probably, you know, osteos and physios listening going, we don't get paid much at all. But, you know, it's sort of like childcare, you know, early childcare. I mean, these people are, you know, got the responsibility of helping raise your very young child. And I don't think the pay necessarily reflects the responsibility. And it's the same with, I think, the fitness industry. I don't think the pay actually reflects what the responsibility is.
I guess it depends on when people see your worth as well. So I work a few different places and each place is at a different rate.
Yeah.
And that can also be negotiable. And for me, I know my worth these days, so I'm quite happy in doing that. But at the same time, I do a lot of it for the love of it.
Yeah.
You know, I finish a 45-minute session with you guys. Do I walk straight out the door? No. I stick around and I have a chat and I'll ask, how was that session for you?
We generally have another class straight after, don't you?
Not always. For you guys, obviously, you're the crazy early ones, but, you know. But also Saturdays, people will come in and another trainer takes the next class, so I'm able to actually chat. I also do night classes, by the way.
Yes.
Did
I? Well, I'm always in the morning, so.
I know. I think you'd love the night one. I'm going to get you onto it one day.
Oh, no, definitely. If I could, I would. But generally, you know, my work extends into the very late hours of the evening, and often I am very good at self-care, you see. So I have a very strict routine of how I care for myself, and, you know, quite often I'm dealing with some pretty pointy-ended things during the day around human beings, and so when my day ends, I end it in a way that's very caring for myself. I don't really need to go and put myself through a gym class if I've already done it at 5:30 in the morning. Thanks, Janelle, anyway. This is what she's like.
Shutdown.
So you can do some more, Rae. You can do some more. But I'm going to give you a bit of a test now.
Oh, gosh.
Because this is the time in the show now. We're about to go to a break, and it's called the Very Special Guest Song Request. So it's a time where I give you a very cryptic clue that I've made up myself, usually at about 4:00 in the morning, and you have to guess which one of your song choices I'm about to play. So it could have to do with the title, the song, even the album. Could be one lyric in the song, anything that loosely links it to. So and thank you for being one of my very special guests who go way outside of the 3.5 to 4 minute limit on your songs. One of yours was almost 7 minutes long. George Michael, God rest that beautiful man's soul. Anyway.
I know.
People, they just don't read. So here's your clue. Big fantasy lizards.
I know what this one is.
So you have to say it.
Imagine Dragons.
Imagine demons. What is it? Does that have meaning for you?
Well, I think the title of the song sort of gives it away. Those inner demons that will rear their ugly head. And, you know, the song, I think, maybe represents a darker time before I moved into the space I am now.
Well, you know what? Imagine Dragons, it's a bit between my son Rory and I, it's a bit of a thing, because back when Imagine Dragons were first starting out many, many years ago, and I was a subscriber of iTunes, so Imagine Dragons actually launched their album for free onto iTunes, and it somehow made it onto my playlist, and I could not get rid of them, and it annoyed me so much that I don't care how good their music is, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of what they did to me.
So am I making you uncomfortable to get comfortable?
Something like that. Now, people, when we come back, we're going to jump all the way back to little Janelle and where life started for her. That's okay with you?
Sure.
Not really, but you'll do it anyway. So you're listening to 94.1 FM. It's 3WBC. Don't go away. You're listening to 94.1 FM. It's 3WBC, and I'm Rae Bonney. And this morning, I'm joined by Janelle Corrigan, someone many people know as the energy face at Coaching Zone Group Training at Genesis Fitness in Box Hill. So there you go.
I feel like the universe wouldn't play that song, Janelle, you're not there anymore. You're not in those demons. Don't relive it.
I don't know what to do. We're not going to get to play any of these songs. It's whatever is going on for us today is just not going on. So we could sing.
I was about to suggest that, but then we do want people to listen, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm disappointed because I love the music bits. It just means we've got to drink more water, and Mike Hagan won't have to edit out too many songs. Just to
we can mention the songs, and the listeners can always play them on Spotify just to see, what's behind them, and yeah, exactly.
Tell a little story about imagining dragons, and they are going well still, aren't they?
Yes. Maybe check out your iTunes. No.
Do they still have iTunes?
I think they do. I think it's Apple Music now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But no, everyone's on Spotify these days, aren't they?
Yes, Spotify, iHeartRadio.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, for anyone listening in, this really shabbily produced show
please.
does get produced onto Spotify, iHeartRadio, my website, Podbean, all over the place. iTunes, YouTube.
Oh.
It's the original home of this show is YouTube.
Fantastic. What a great advertisement for them all. But this way also they can find you anywhere.
But look, people can find me or like anywhere, my number, my email, just, get onto me for all kinds of things. But this is not about me. This is all about you. Now, tell me, what was your first memory?
It's hard to pinpoint. I remember lots of snippets of memories. Mostly I associate the early memories with my dad.
Yeah.
And that's how I differentiate between different times in my life. Like it's like BC and, like before Christ and after Christ. It's the same, before dad, after dad.
Yeah.
So I think one of my earliest memories was going to a fair, a carnival near where my father was an art teacher at a lagoon. And
a lagoon?
Very strange, yes. A lagoon in Wellington. And I won a Caterpillar pencil case.
Oh.
And I was just so happy. And I think that was probably my happiest childhood memory, is getting this Caterpillar pencil case.
Yeah.
Because obviously we'll go into a bit more trauma-related things that encompass memories. So I think that is embedded as something that was really, really joyful.
Mm. Do you still have it?
No.
Yeah.
I have memory boxes, plural, of things that date back for years. A bit of a hoarder when it comes to memories. The only thing I have from my actual childhood is a sheepskin that I slept with at my feet and would rub it between my feet to, I guess, get to sleep. And it's embarrassing to say, it still remains at my feet as I sleep.
Wow. That's not embarrassing at all. That's just an indication of just how therapeutic that small thing is.
Very much so.
And how durable sheepskin can
yes.
be.
Well, I'd lay it down in the lounge and watch TV. It pretty much would stay in the house. I was so scared of losing it. And it would come to bed with me every night. It was like that constant, almost like an emotionally safe blanket.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, I still love that, and I'm very sensory when it comes to touching things, and that's my precious little sheepskin.
So what did it feel like for you being a little girl growing up in Wellington?
I would say for me, it's very much what I touched on previously, where having to read the room. So our house was what I would call immaculate. You probably wouldn't know that young children lived there because everything had its place and everything had to be perfect.
Who needed it to be that way?
I would say my father, but as I got older I realised that my mum also now really likes everything to be tidy. You know, I'll call her and say, "How are you?" And she'll be like, "Well, I've washed the floors, I've done the dishes, I've," go through a list of things she's accomplished, and I'll be like, "No, but how are you?"
Yeah.
And then move on to something else. So that there was never any talk about how are you. So the house was very much, look at how perfect everything is on the outside, and children not necessarily allowed to be children.
Was that scary, or was it just an underlying thing?
Well, it's funny, not funny, but ironic, I guess. I have an older sister and we're polar opposites. I pushed every boundary and laughed. She internalized everything and conformed. So those polar opposites, don't touch that, Janelle. Oh, you mean this, as I'm touching it.
You would not want to be on this side of the panel, would you, with all these buttons?
I'd love it. I'd love it, actually.
That's what I mean. This show would be going a lot more technically disastrous than it already is.
But yeah, so not just the buttons, but I used to love pushing people's buttons to see how they would react too. So I think there was always that element of rebelling until you knew it was serious.
Yeah.
And that voice, that demeanour, and it's like, okay, I've pushed that a little bit too far now. You're going to get punished.
Yeah. Your dad was an art teacher?
Correct.
And growing up, also your mum had a background, there was a lot of generational trauma, like lots of generations of trauma that was experienced through to you.
Yes.
How do you think that impacted you?
I think, both sides, mums and dads. I think we parent on our instinctive, I guess, how we were parented until we know better. Once we know better, we do better.
Yeah.
And my mother was of the, I guess, thought pattern of, in spite of, I am not going to parent you the way I was parented. So instead of, I guess, corporal punishment, she would put herself in timeout.
Oh.
And close the door.
So like abandon you?
Well, so that she didn't do anything that she would be sorry for. That was obviously post my father passing. prior to that, I think because she grew up so independent, trying to be the adult in the house, that everything was just really pragmatic. Just, we get it done. This is how it's done. Let's not talk about it. Let's not have emotions.
And for your colourful little mind, that would have been pretty difficult to live within those constraints.
Yeah. And I think with my father, who was very, very unwell.
Do you remember him being unwell?
I remember certain aspects. I remember him coming home from a stint in a hospital in the South Island. We lived in the North Island in New Zealand, if you can't tell by my accent.
I didn't know there was a difference.
What, between the North Island? Oh, you mean in the accent? Yes. Well, being a Kiwi, the Southerners have a very R roll to the end of their sentences. But anyway, yes, so he had a stint down at a hospital for people who weren't coping mentally. And I remember him coming home and he had a beard. So he'd obviously been away long enough for me to be like, my father has facial hair.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long that took, but he came home and, you know, we were elated. It wasn't like I instinctively knew where he had been. I assume we were told, Dad's not well, he's in hospital. But sometimes the reason he went to another island for help was if he was local, my grandmother, his mother, would discharge him and bring him home.
Right.
And tell my mum, that's not what we do. He's your husband. You look after him.
Yeah.
So that had happened previously. And so I think mum then, you know, because my son's not mentally, unwell.
Yes.
How dare you?
Yeah.
So that he would go down south to another hospital. So, yes, he was in and out of hospitals for his mental health. And when I moved to Australia, my mum gave me a suitcase and she said, this is yours. And I looked at it, I said, it's not mine. And she's like, it is now. And I opened it and inside it was all of his psych notes, all the letters him and my mum wrote back and forth to each other while he was in hospital. Pretty much everything about those times in hospital, and I got a real insight into his mind, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, because I don't know if you've mentioned it on the show yet, but your dad killed himself.
Correct.
When you were 7.
Six.
And wow, so when you moved to Australia, was that the first time when you were younger or when you were 31?
Yeah, when I moved with my husband and my daughter. So, yeah.
Was that just like a whole part of life that you hadn't known about?
I knew he was unwell, and
yes.
I knew in a general roundabout way what pushed him over the edge, so to speak. And also there was legalities around how he passed because he wasn't allowed to be around enough medication for him to be unwell. But that was accidentally overlooked.
Right.
So, yeah, our family went through legal proceedings and what
yes.
have you for that being the case, him having access to it. So there was all of that information in there as well. And I ended up actually working for the company that we fought against. So I thought that was quite ironic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how did that feel as you're uncovering all of this, and why did it take your mum so long for you to have access to that?
I don't necessarily think she was denying me of it. I mean, and there was also the note he left, the original note, when he took his life. I had seen it before, but I think actually being able to sit with it in the context of all the suitcase information, let's just say there was a lot of wine drunk as I was reading it, and being able to, I think, cry and let it all out, because I had, I want to say, romanticized what my relationship with my father would have been, you know, if Dad was still alive. So to actually get the reality of it was like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, he was very unwell.
So when it actually happened in real time and you were 6 years old, how do you think, you know, and you mentioned how your mum's very pragmatic. Was it kind of just glossed over and you just got on with life, or was there a time of grieving? And
it's hard to remember. I specifically remember the entire day it happened. I had gone on a play date after school and my mum had forgotten and she didn't know where I was. So everyone was trying to find me because my father had passed and they, you know, wanted to know where I was. They eventually found where I was. You know, this is back in the days of no cell phones. And a family friend came and picked me up. And I remember asking why are you picking me up? And she was like, I just need to take you to your mum. They're at so-and-so's house. And I'm going, why are they there? Where's my mum? Where's my dad? You're talking, you know, like asking all these inquisitive questions. And we went to a family's house and they had this giant window and a rocking chair, like a lazy boy. And I remember sitting in the lazy boy looking out the window as my mum told me, your father's, you know, passed away. And me being like, kind of, what does that mean? And her being like, he's never coming back. You'll never see your dad again. And as a child, obviously I can only reflect now, being like, what? And then having a week staying at that family's house. And I remember their children and I went to the Muppets movie. Like, it was like life just had to get on as normal for the children. And this beautiful family almost, I guess, held my mother.
Yeah.
And helped her through it, because I, in hindsight, can't imagine what it would be like to lose your life partner. I mean, he was only 33, and so Mum was only 33 as well. My sister was 8, I was 6. It was, you know, quite a young family. I look at when I was 33 and I think, oh, still a baby.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Gosh, thank you for sharing that. It's, you know, it's such a moment, and, you know, I'm just sort of just listening to every single word you're saying and watching your face and, you know, digging back into that memory and, yeah, bringing it forward. Do you think that those events, or, you know, just up until that age, set you up for what was about to happen next, or was it always in you?
Well, I believe that I was born a certain way.
I was born
this way. Yes,
this way.
Yes. But at the same time, it's like that old conundrum, nature, nurture. You know, I used to write letters to my father after he passed, like a diary, and constantly, open up that way, being like, if only you were here. It feels like, I remember writing a letter, I still have them, and it says, I feel like inside of me is a puzzle, but there's a piece missing, and I don't know how to find that piece. And I think that sort of sets up the next part of the story, that I'm always trying to find the piece of that puzzle through other ways.
Yeah.
And the pieces never fitted, so there was always something inside of me that was like, nobody understands.
Yeah. Because that makes sense in, some of the other stuff that you spoke about later, but you also talked about you and your sister being kind of abandoned when I think you were 14 or younger.
So, yes. So my mum was a single mum. And when I say single mum, dated, so not single.
Yeah.
And she also worked extremely hard to better our lives. My father was the main breadwinner. And so she, by correspondence school, sat in her room every night and studied to become a legal executive and started working in law, working in law firms. And she was offered to go on a big case, but it was held 9 hours away from where we live. And so she worked 9 hours away and would fly there on a Monday, and me and my sister were at home by ourselves, and then sometimes fly back on a Friday, sometimes not. Sometimes it would be weeks at a time, and I only recently looked at that and went, what? Like, I personally, as a mother of teenagers, couldn't imagine what mischief my children would get up to. And I will tell you, maybe it's based on life experience of how much mischief I can imagine they got up to. I was by no means responsible enough to be left in a house, that's for sure. And my sister had friends that, she would go out with quite often. So therefore I was pretty much in the house alone at 14, waking up on time, lunches, school, dinners.
So did you manage or did you not?
I honestly don't know what manage means.
Well, was that sort of the start of, getting in with different crowds of people and, substance misuse or anything like that at that stage?
I believe that prior to even picking up any kind of alcohol, anything, related to that, I was looking to fill that hole, that jigsaw piece inside of me with love. I just wanted it to be filled with love. And when it wasn't filled with love, food.
Yeah.
So, that comfort of filling it, this makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Which is a temporary, the jigsaw piece never fits.
Yeah.
Friendships, I want this person to be my best friend. They'll make things better.
Yeah.
Boys. Love, in all the wrong places. So I was always looking externally for something to fill an internal.
And that was at this age?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started smoking cigarettes at the age of 8.
Yeah.
Because, that's something that sets off, I guess, a good feeling.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Sneaking out of school, all this risk-taking behaviours.
Yeah. So did that amp up when your mum was absent?
Very much so.
And did that include alcohol and drugs or at this stage?
Very much alcohol.
Okay. What about your sister? Was she not so much?
Well, she was out with her friends.
Yeah. But you weren't just staying at home boozing on your own at 14.
No, I was having, oh my goodness. I recently read my diary from that time. As I said, I have a lot of hoarding things from when I was younger. And there's one insert there and I was like, wow. So it was like, mum's away. I had a party. Luckily, only the 23 people I invited turned up.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, I would kill my kid for having a party with 23, you know.
Yeah.
And my house growing up was always an open home for the waifs and the strays and the other kids, to the point that I actually believe I wasn't emotionally safe in that house with some of the people that were in there.
Yeah.
So a lot of them were older than me. A lot of them were mostly my sister's friends. A lot of males that like to tease me, bully me, say derogatory things, all in jest, but, it just wasn't safe. And after I threw one particular party when Mum was away, I managed to get acrylic paint all over her new white carpet after completely blacking out with alcohol. And when she came home, that was the point in which she decided it was time to send me to boarding school. And whilst I was at boarding school, she rented out my room to one of my sister's male friends. So I didn't even have a safe space back at home.
Oh, right. So your room was filled?
Was filled, and every third weekend when I came home from boarding school, he would just stay somewhere else, and I was allowed to sleep in my room, in commas, room.
Oh, gosh. So you didn't come home at all during that time then? So
I would come home every third weekend, which, we spent weekends at boarding school, and just come the Saturday and go back first thing Monday morning on the train. It was about 2 hours away. So during that time, my room was, rented out to a teenage boy who would have, no teenage, 18, and I was 14.
So what was boarding school like? Did you find another tribe there?
I fell in with a tribe. That's how I would describe it. The other troublemakers that got sent to boarding school.
Right. Yep. So is boarding school over there like it might be here, like if you board at Scotch College, quite a privileged kind of space to be?
Very much so.
Yep.
A lot of the kids that aren't sent there come from rural areas that are quite affluent. The names have been going to that school for generations. And it's very much an elite, it was quite expensive. I understand my mum took out a second mortgage on the house to send me there.
God.
And very strict.
Yeah. Did you get the education she paid for, do you think?
I believe I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As well as troublemaking.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when do you think your life started feeling like it was getting out of control?
I don't believe that it was ever in control. There's so many different aspects for me with that question.
I guess what I mean, like, when did it actually start feeling like I have no control over my life? And that's once we get sort of those adult feelings of, I think I might be in trouble.
In hindsight, I think I might have been in trouble a long time before I knew I was in trouble.
Yeah, I guess my question is, when were you consciously aware of, I'm either one of those kids or one of those people, and this isn't going well?
Oh, probably when when I was living in a different country to my mum, and I had no fallback plan. No, and it was
so you were living where?
So my mum had moved here to Australia, and I briefly moved over with her, but missed my friendships, my life.
Yeah.
So I moved back to New Zealand, and
that was around the age 20, maybe.
Yeah, 20.
Okay.
Yes.
And was that where now as an adult you didn't have?
It was a free for all.
Yeah.
It was chaotic. But I thought I was in control of all these adult decisions.
Yeah.
But I had no control.
Paint a picture. What were you doing?
Yep. So, for example, I would go out with friends for the night and have a great time, and it would come the end of the night and they're wanting to go home, and I would be like, well, I'm not ready to go home. I've got work tomorrow at 7 a.m. I'm going to go to this other club where I make friends with all these randoms and realise work's about to start. So I go into a bathroom, freshen myself up and go straight to work. And pretty much every night was some sort of drink or, you know, a bit of the wacky backy.
Yeah.
So it was this constant stream of, once again, trying to fill myself with something and surrounding myself with people that did the same. And only in hindsight do I see that I needed to surround myself with people that did the same so that it was normal, this behaviour. You know, I'm talking pre-drinks before you go out. So, you know, drinking before people come over so that I already have an amount in me to be able to socialise, to be able to be, I guess, put that mask on.
Yeah.
And very much my mentality was either you like me immediately or I'm going to make you like me, or if neither of those works, I'm going to destroy your life. There was no sort of in
How would you destroy
between.
someone's life?
Oh, we could give them a call if you like. No, I'm joking. It's not that kind of show, Janelle. So my motto was, don't F with me because I F back.
Yeah.
And things like writing letters to agencies that I knew would affect their potential careers, or like really nasty, vindictive things, you know, planting seeds with other people for them to join my army, you know, very manipulative, very, you know, I needed that sense of control because I was so out of control on the inside. I'm trying to control the narrative on the outside.
Yeah. It's interesting, you know, a lot of those behaviours people would term as narcissistic behaviours, and, you know, I've tried to push back with people to sort of understand how a narcissist comes about, and generally it's, you know, kids who have no control over their lives, who need to be able to posture in a way, you know, it's either slip right under the radar and have no power, or try to insert yourself in life in a way that you can function. And that's what a narcissist will look like down the track as an adult. So understanding that person is riddled with insecurities, has no structure, no emotional structure around them, nor care. Often we can start caring for that person and understanding where that comes from.
Well, I think that there's something that sticks out in my mind when meeting you, for example. You saw me and I didn't like that. Don't see me, please. Please don't. I need this on to work effectively. And I've compartmentalized that, you know, I want to bring this energy and I love seeing people succeed. This isn't about me. Let's talk about the fun stories. Or, oh yeah, I did that, or blah, 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 and then you calling me out on a behavior. I'm like, no, I'm working on that, but that's not why we're here. Don't see me, please. Can you not, and I think that is where the growth is for me. I'll touch on it again and again. The uncomfortable parts in life is where that growth is. Talking about, for example, that vindictive behaviour, narcissistic and what have you, that's what I did, not who I am. And I have worked extremely hard to make amends to as many people that I can find that I have done those things to, actively sought them out.
How do they receive that?
If I'm not blocked, like even 20, 30 years later, people are pretty receptive to it. I was bullied when I was younger. In school, would you believe I surgically got my ears pinned back because I had what you would call Dumbo ears or wing nut, or I could think of multiple different names that I was called. And so I know that if those people were to approach me in later life and say, look, I'm so sorry. I mean, I remember a child saying to me, no wonder your father killed himself. He's took one look at your ears. Like kids can be cruel. And so for me to reach out to people in later life and people in recent life and be able to take accountability. It's okay if they don't take that well. I've done what I can to rectify that damage. And I also get to ask them, is there anything I've done that I'm not aware of? And how can I move forward and help,
How confront? When I was at high school, I'd left high school when I was only 15, but before that, I was a classic bully. And that was, again, and that wasn't, it wasn't light stuff. It was, beating people up. And there was one girl in particular who was a year younger than me, and it gave her a very hard time. Extorted money from her, was physical with her. And a few years later, I was working in the city, and, I was now kind of on my path to where I'm sort of heading now, but I was still only probably about 17 or 18. And I walked into a dress shop, and there she was behind the counter. And I stopped in my tracks, and I thought to myself, here's my opportunity to go and speak to her and just let her know how I'm feeling, So I paused and I walked up to her and I said, you probably don't remember me. And she said, I remember you. And I said, well, I want to tell you. Again, I was a young person still. I said, I just want to say I'm so sorry for what I did to you in high school. And she said to me, well, I don't forgive you. And she said, get out of my effing shop. And I said, okay, that's fair enough. And I left, and I respected that. But it sat with me forever to know that just because I want to make amends with somebody doesn't mean that they want to make amends with me. And I have to be okay with that. And it's still, it doesn't bother me, but it still sits with me all the time. And I'll say it at the end of this show, if you want to improve the health, safety and mental well-being of people, just don't be an effing arsehole. That's it. There is no textbook, there is no training, there is nothing on that. Just don't be that.
I have a quote in an A4 frame that I take to some of the classes that I do at a community centre, and it's a quote by William James. There are 3 of the most important things in life. Be kind, and be kind. And
if you can't, just be nothing.
Shut up.
Yes, just don't be anything.
Well, the whole...
It kills people. It literally kills people. You look at, the reason why we have psychosocial frameworks in our workplaces and legislation is because people have died because of people's behaviour. And, you know, we don't have legislation. We don't have those structures in workplaces. You look at health and safety, physical health and safety. It's all there because somebody's died or they've been injured. The same thing.
And I know for me, like boarding school, I put poor girls in therapy that would shake every time they saw me. Punched a girl down some stairs, you know.
But know that these people are still living with those injuries.
Exactly. And I know that for me, and I can only ever speak for myself, it was either be bullied or be the bully. You're never going to let someone treat you like that again, get in front of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's still, just because I'm aware of it, doesn't mean it's, that's why I did that. Let's move on. Let's do something about it.
How do you think alcohol becoming one of your best friends helped you get through all of that?
I believe that it just, so my head in here between these two ears doesn't stop talking. What do you think of me? What do they do? It's this constant inner monologue, and a lot of the time it's telling me how horrible I am, what a worthless, you know, all the things that I grew up hearing. So alcohol took away caring. First of all, I didn't care anymore. It physically made me feel like I could breathe, like a sigh of release, like this sense of ease and comfort. And it let me not feel. It numbed me to any kind of not giving a crap about how any of that felt. And it also turned me into someone I thought I could be proud of. Yeah. You know, like I thought it was a great personality change. You know, I can go out and be who I want. I'm 10 foot tall, but it was this inflated ego with this really low self-esteem.
Yeah.
So alcohol helped me through a lot. I believe it did save my life, because had I had to live with all those feelings and internal things, I probably would have taken the same path as my father.
Yeah.
And me and my sister actually made a pact and got tattoos of the semicolon, which is we choose not to put a full stop on our life. Our story continues.
Yeah.
Even while I was inactive, which I find quite funny because, you know, alcohol provided for me what I couldn't provide for myself. That piece of puzzle.
Yeah.
That I needed to keep filling. There was a hole inside of me. And to be fair, my behaviour and the way I treated people was worse when I was sober.
Yeah.
Because I was restless and irritable and discontent and just thinking about the next time.
Well, alcohol also has a chemical impact on us, and, you know,
the downer.
Pretty much, you know, what people don't understand is that the moment you consume any alcohol, it just rapes you of all your dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, any happiness hormone that you have in your system is gone. So, you know, you see people, and drugs, you know, do similar thing. That, you know, when we have these, like the downers or the heebie-jeebies, that's what that is. And when, you know, you're always looking for your next drink, it's a big burden.
But also the shame, the guilt, the remorse that comes with the actions of doing it, and, say, swearing off, only to do it again and again and again and again.
That's what addiction's about, isn't it?
Exactly.
Addiction isn't a choice. It's I mean, I can't explain actually what that is, but how long did this carry on in your life? Like, you had children, you married David, you came to Australia. Did it continue?
Well, people asked, when, how old were you when you had your first drink? And I didn't realise that, gripe water that children have in the medicine cabinet up until, I think, 97, it contained alcohol. I loved that medicine.
Yeah.
I would swig it, so from a really young age, there was always this sense of, but I think even, getting married, that'll make me better.
Yep.
That'll fill that piece of puzzle. Yep. And that doesn't work. Well, maybe having a child, that will, and they were quite, I guess, selfish decisions in hindsight. I'm looking at somebody, a human being, to make me okay.
Which one of those things fixed it for you?
Well, it definitely wasn't 3 children and a husband,
Okay. So how did you manage, raising kids and keeping this relationship?
I don't know if manage is the right word.
Well, you're all still here.
Yes, but it's maybe it was the external of, I need everybody to see that I'm okay and I'm managing like my childhood. Look at the exterior. Yeah. Look at how clean our house wasn't clean, but look at how shiny I look on the outside. My children have a great school lunch. My children are dressed, but they didn't see me waking up hungover, getting the children ready as quickly as possible, not caring about their mental health around that. Get in the effing car. We're going to be late. Like it's their fault. Yeah. Them having a sense of heightened anxiety just like I did growing up. But as long as everything looked okay to other people, everything was okay. Yeah. And so managing for me was then coming home, having that drink, finding friends that drank like me, finding school mums that drank like me.
That's a whole community that's,
isn't it?
Undervalued, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And finding other mums, that those memes are aimed at wine time. Yeah. It's mummy's wine time. Yeah. So I didn't look so bad. Yeah. But I don't know, I would organise nights out, down at the local pub when they would have tribute nights,
Which local pub? Not the Burvale? Oh, no.
Yeah, the Fleetwood Mac tribute nights, the In Excess tribute. We would have an awesome time and it would be said, Janelle's coming out. Who knows what time we'll get home. We'll have such a great night, and they'd also be like, I wonder, it'll be funny watching her because, like say someone of the opposite sex might be like, hey, I'm like, we're here to have a good time, not talk to you. Yeah. Can't you see that? We're all we just go, and not in those kind of words. I'm not going to use the words on air. Some guy going, be careful what you say to me. I've been in prison. I'm like, well, what it's like to be beaten up or having keep talking to me like I was 10 foot tall. Yeah. I'm not, by the way. I'm 5'2". Yeah. Thinking I had all this and other mums thought it was hilarious and that it was fun and when you were out with me, you couldn't guarantee, I guess, my behaviour. And when I say that, I mean I could be the nicest person in the world or I could not be. You just didn't know
which version you were getting.
Exactly. And
how did you manage a relationship with David during this time?
I believe that before I realised I needed to obviously completely change everything.
He would have been seeing all of this.
Very much so. I believe we were almost like two people living in a house together that were just like flatmates. Yeah. Because we just didn't communicate on that level because him to bring anything up would either come with acknowledgement, I know I need to change, this time's going to be different, only for it not to be, or turn it back on him
Yeah.
and get angry that you're pointing out something that I honestly see, but how dare you see it? So combative. And there were many a fight around, around my behaviour. I remember specifically, and this is almost embarrassing to say, I went to a counsellor because I was overwhelmed with life. And then Dave came to a couple of sessions, and what I wanted to get out of that was the counsellor to tell him everything he's doing wrong for me to be okay. And I told him, under no circumstances do we talk about my drinking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because that's not a problem.
That's not the problem here. You're the problem.
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed because of the mental load and the physical load of the household, and you get to go to work 9 to 5 and manage and what have you, and I'm at home doing this, that and the other. This is also post 2 big surgeries, and I was unable to work for a period of time, and self-medicating because of that. Poor David saw a lot of it, and when I talk about the amends to people that I love, I haven't had a drink in a long time, but I remember it had been about a year after I stopped drinking, and I wanted to make amends to David. Yeah. And he said he wasn't ready. Mm. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, mother fudge, you know. But, so I had to respect that. And then maybe a couple of years after, I'm like, do you think he'll ever be ready? And he's like, yeah, I'll let you know when, and I'm thinking, just let me be okay. Yeah. It's that selfishness, self-centeredness that everybody else in the world needs to do their part so I'm okay. Mm. Anyway, he did mention to me, and it was actually really sweet, I would like to hear it, but I'd like it to be down at a beach, like when we first started dating, and you'd pick me up and we'd go and sit in the car and at the beach and just chat, and I was like, okay. And he's like, I think I'm ready when you're ready now. And that was probably about 4 years in. And I truly believe that, the universe or whatever you believe in worked it that way so I could truly see the extent of the damage, if that makes sense. Mm. After the first year, it would have been, sorry I got really drunk that time and called you an asshole. Sorry the amends was, sorry I took 20 years of your life. Sorry that you couldn't trust the one person that made vows to you that you could trust them. Sorry that I caused such anxiety and mental health issues by you having to deal with this day in and day out. Those deep-seated things that I robbed him of. I was actually only able to see those after a period of being awake to it, I guess. I think the amends for me at the beginning was selfish, and when I finally got to do it, it was about him and not me. Mm.
Gosh.
And it was at a beach.
Which beach?
I organised a beautiful picnic, and I remember driving there thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to get a park. This is going to all turn to shite, And this park just opens up right next to this beautiful private picnic place. I pull in, and it all just was meant to be. Yeah. And it was a really beautiful process. And I still have a copy of the words that I wrote down, to prompt me to actually have a think about.
Because it really meant something.
Yeah.
You're right. It's, because you did the 7 steps. Is that right?
12.
12. Is it 12? What did I say? 7?
Oh, that's all right.
Is it 7 or is it 12? Yeah.
There's 12 in pretty much any program you do.
I don't know where I got 7 from. I think
something like 150 plus different 12-step programs in the world.
Yeah.
For different things.
But I like that it was about him, not about you.
And that's what my recovery has taught me. And one of the songs I actually picked that we won't be playing, by the way.
Well, we might be able to. I think I kind of may have fixed. We can give it a go if you want.
Well, one of them is that song, What About Me?
Yes, which is now with the moving pictures. Well, we could go to a little break if you want to, because we've only got half an hour left of the show. Yeah, I know. Blah, 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 blah. We haven't even spoken about all of the amazing things you're doing now, because, I mean, Janelle not only trains over 50s with an amazing colleague, she does the most amazing celebration cakes. My daughter Rose also does celebration cakes, and I said, well, you've got to show you Janelle's. You do makeup, hair,
anything creative. I used to be a nail technician as well.
Well, there you go. So all these things that alcohol used to take up all your time, now you've got all this time in the world to colour it in. So we might be back like within about 5 seconds if this doesn't work, but we're going to give it a go and see if we can play What About Me, because that's all about Janelle.
Yeah.
She wanted to play the Shannon Knoll version, and she'd never heard the Moving Pictures version, so I introduced her to that.
Hey, I'm a Kiwi. Give me a break.
So, again, might be back, but if we're not, don't go away. You're listening to 94.1 FM. It's 3WBC. We finally got to play a song. Welcome back to What Does It Feel Like Being You today on 94.1 FM 3WBC with Rae Bonney. And this morning I'm joined by Janelle, whose story has reminded us that sometimes the hardest decision we ever make is also the one that changes everything. At the break, we left Janelle at what she describes, well, as becoming just sick of being sick and tired and making a decision to get sober. And we were going to actually phone in Sally from the gym to talk to you about her perspective on being trained by you. But unfortunately, with so many technical difficulties, unfortunately, we've had to pause Sally, and she's okay with that. I managed to give her a text in my spare time during the show.
Which is ironic because Sally saw me pre and post alcohol.
Yeah.
Because she was a school mum.
Yeah.
So that was quite ironic for her to personally see my transformation into that as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm a great believer of the universe these days, and it's how it's meant to be.
Well, given we've only got about 25 minutes left of the show and so much to cover, I did want to highlight that piece where you've said to David, I need help. And then you mentioned going to Kmart and buying some dumbbells after you went into some detox, didn't you?
Yeah, so I detoxed, and when I decided that, you know, things need to change, you know, and they say stay out of your old drinking environments. Well, in the end, I was drinking at home. So what am I supposed to say? Bye, family. So I needed to change things like my bedside table was no longer, you know, my park bench, so to speak. And my room became a sanctuary rather than a prison. So I went to we got the word on the radio, you might remember, during COVID. As at 9 p.m. tonight, everybody needs these sort of, all those rules around isolating.
Yeah.
And curfews, and it all seems so weird saying that now, but anyway. So yeah, before we were under curfew, I raced up to Kmart, grabbed some dumbbells, and thought this is the time to go into the cocoon as a caterpillar.
Yeah.
And completely reform myself.
So were you reasonably fit at this time?
Not really. I just knew that externally I was not at my best.
So had fitness been a big part of your life before, or?
When I was young, I played a lot of netball.
Yeah.
To the point that, the coach used to say, wow, she could get to reps. She could, really. I played what I want to say is football, soccer.
Yeah.
I was pretty sporty, but in everybody else's words, never lived up to my potential.
But never had that interest in how your body worked and how you could get the best from it?
No.
And was that now what you were looking at?
Very much in regards to, if I do this exercise, what muscle am I working and what change will I see in that muscle? So, I want a nice muscle looking back. What exercises and what muscles are they that I need to do for that to work? But I also didn't want to make it a chore.
Yeah.
Because in the past, for me, exercising had always felt like a chore, something I had to do.
Unless you could turn it into an addiction, though.
Well, but this is the other thing is I thought, oh no, is it just another addiction to add to my list?
Because you mentioned when we were speaking with Sally out in the car park and you were reminiscing on the actual car park that's where they had to do training because of COVID, that you were, you were turning up every day and they were saying to you, you can't take everybody's spot. You need to give everyone else a chance. And you mentioned that it might have been becoming quite obsessive.
It was becoming obsessive in the way that I still don't know if I could be alone with my own head. And I think that was something that I still needed to work on, whereas if I was around other people and doing an activity, I wasn't alone with the voice that would still sit in there.
Yeah. Once you'd given up, once you were sober, was there ever a moment where you felt like you were in danger of going back?
No. I can say that wholeheartedly and honestly. No. I now have what I would call tools and supports in place, and there's certain routines that I do every day that help keep me on a path of self-care, like you mentioned before. There's very much, like I meditate before I go to bed. I release everything from the day. I, have certain, even, face rituals, things that will prepare me to wind down.
Yeah.
Whereas that's something I used to rely on alcohol for, to wind down.
Not really understanding you're winding up.
Exactly.
Certain things, you're winding up your liver, you're winding up all sorts of...
Well, in my phone, I have a reminder that pops up at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. every day. And it surprises me every time it comes up, by the way. And it literally says stop and breathe.
Yeah.
Taking that mindful moment to just stop and take a couple of nice deep breaths.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a lot, since we've been collaborating on this show, every time I text you, you'll go, I'm just running out to do blah, blah, blah. I'm just about to do this. I'll come back to you later once I've done 500 things. And, that sort of makes me feel like, you've always, you probably need to have a lot on to be able to use the energy that comes very, very naturally to you. But, again, we haven't got long to cover on this, but I'm very keen for you to talk to our listeners about care training and also, renewed after 50.
Sure.
If you can cover those two things in 7 minutes.
Why not? Let's go. I'll try not to talk too fast either. So care training is my brand, so to speak. Care standing for Create Ambition, Rise Empowered. So for the ladies that have always put family first or felt overwhelmed or
been alcoholics.
Yeah, well, anything that's internal that is, like I was talking about, the piece of puzzle. So empowering them through fitness. So not necessarily, once again, looking at the scale, looking at the insides and feeling strong, and rather than, how much weight can I lose? During my time at school for getting my certificate in fitness, I met a woman, so she would have been in her 70s doing the course, and she said to me, you need to meet my trainer. He's amazing. I know he's looking for someone, and I think you'd be a great fit. And I'm thinking, okay. And she invited me along to a morning tea that he put on and to do his class beforehand. And it was over 50s class, and I'm thinking, well, this is going to be easy, I'm fit. Hello. I did his class and I was absolutely exhausted. Like, he pushes people. And, he's of an age where, people think, oh, there's no way, you can lift that. He's one of the fittest people I know in his, 70s. And he was an absolute inspiration to me. And we just clicked.
Can you say who he is?
Yes, so his name's Graham Ellis at Renew After 50, and he has the passion like I've never seen before. And it was, on par with mine, I might say. So between the two of us, you can't get a word in edgewise, first of all. And second of all, we just are passionate about people getting stronger.
So do you go into aged care or?
No, so we have a couple of spaces that we rent, one being a scout hall, and it's got a cupboard full of weights, some ropes, all different things that you would need. And we run classes out of there where people come along and work out in groups. So I take some classes, Graham takes some classes, and it's the majority of it is around, training, resistance training and strength training, which as older adults we need for our bones. It's so important. I can't stress that enough.
Oh, you can't stress that to a young person though, because they don't get it.
Well, you couldn't have told me what was good for me back in the day.
I think it's just a biological kind of evolutionary thing, is that we don't realize things until we get to a certain age. I mean, I know I have so much more attention on my body and mind now than I ever have, because I'm very aware that it's breaking down. And that only probably started in my 50s, like in my early 50s. I started going, oh my gosh, I've got a chooky neck. Oh my gosh, my skin. Oh my gosh. And it wasn't sort of until, then I got into my mid 50s and I went, oh, okay. We really have to start doing.
Well, I have that lived experience as well, as you probably know. I've got grade 4 osteoarthritis in my knee. Which I need a knee replacement. I've got arthritis in my hip. I already had a hip replacement. That doesn't stop me, because if I was to not do it, it would be worse. It actually improves my symptoms by exercising.
Absolutely. Well, it's like, my story of doing the Inca Trail, I've also got arthritis in hips, in my knee. I've got a neuroma in my foot. I've got all sorts of things going on. And I knew that if I was going to do it, I would have to actually push my body, not rest it, but push it. And I can tell you right now, it is one of the hardest physical things I've ever done in my life.
Well, it's like what we spoke about, not here today, but, the hardest part isn't just the physical, it's the mental, that determination. And I think that's what I find in my line of work, is people don't realise how capable they actually are, because their mind will tell them they're not. And I'm here to tell you are capable, and let's do
Well, you
it.
look at Graham, and Graham's is that inspiration to be in his mid-70s or something, and And I know the people that I was hiking with, so many people in their 70s, sometimes 80s, who are doing exactly the same thing. And I can tell you right now, are a lot fitter than I were, because they've actually taken time to care for themselves. So I think what you are providing, what Graham's providing, and I know you do go into aged care though too, don't you?
I used to work in aged care, but I work also at community centres.
Yeah.
And I do an over 80s couple of hours a week, where it's not just exercise. It's exercise. We do brain games. We have afternoon tea.
Oh, wow.
And we just all connect and, you know, giving back to the community, because as we get older as well, our community gets smaller and smaller. And I want to be able to provide some of that in a different context to just pushing people physically. So I love my little 80-year-olds, over 80s.
Well, again, you know, people, it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in, we're all important and we all deserve the respect, the dignity and the pride of, you know, wherever we are. And, you know, I know in my line of work, you know, that's where we see the bulk of male suicide is 80 plus. And, you know, I've said it many times on this show. I sat with a woman many years ago when I was speaking at an event, and she said, well, they're almost dead, so it doesn't really matter. She actually said that. Anyway, now, Janelle, as we are winding to the end of the show, I do have to remind everybody, if anything we've spoken about this morning has raised difficult thoughts or feelings for you, please remember support is available. Lifeline, the number there is 131114. We have suicide callback service, which is 1300 659 467, and Head to Health on 1800 595 212, or visit them at headtohealth.gov.au. It's a free national service that can help connect you with support that's right for you. It's amazing. There's probably about 1,000 different resources on that site. Clickable, printable, downloadable, watchable, speakable, whatever it is, there's a resource there for you or for somebody that you're concerned about. Just Head to Health. And it's free. Just about all it's free. Also, this show, if you've listened to it and want to listen to it again without all of the technical blah blahs that the divine Mike Hagan will hopefully edit out, you can listen to it once we produce that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube and Spotify. I'll be back with you on Sunday the 16th of August with another wonderful guest who at this stage remains a surprise to everyone, including me. But don't go away on that. For me, what's coming up next for me, I'm in the throes of preparing something pretty big. In around 6 weeks, I'm off to Cape Town in South Africa to attend the 18th World Congress on Public Health with my colleagues from Global Action on Men's Health. And for the first time in history of the Congress, men's health has been included as part of the official scientific program, which is a significant milestone. It's amazing. And I'll be speaking about gender responsive systems and our work on men's mental health as part of the charter that I'm leading for men's mental health globally, which is a really big deal. So if anyone's interested in that work that I'm doing, please hit me up and we can talk about that. So I can't wait to bring those conversations to the world. That's where we learn a lot from, you know, all countries of the world will be there. So it'll be really cool. So that's what's coming up next for me. For you, Janelle, what's coming up?
If you had have asked me that 5 years ago, I wouldn't tell you what's coming up now. You know, life is unpredictable.
Another drink?
You know, life is unpredictable. I want to keep empowering people. I want to pursue furthering my career with Renewed After 50. And I'm moving into the space a lot around, you know, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause as well, and how that affects our body, and that we don't just train like men, and there should be two different kinds of training. and how it affects our body. So watch this space when it comes
Such
to...
an amazing space. And that's what Sally was going to talk to us about today, about her experience and how you've really helped her sort of manage that part of her life too. But it is not, I mean, I bang on about men's health all the time, but I'm very, very excited about how we can bring menopause onto, really under the limelight and start doing so much more for women and for men, because it does affect men in a huge way.
My husband asked if all the Karens of the world were just poor women in the throes of menopause and they've just given up on giving her stuff, and that hit me hard.
Yeah. Well, good on him for recognising that. I do have one little question for you, and this could be a big question, but you've got about 5 minutes if we want to play another song. If you could, and this is a lame old question, right? But I love it because coming out of you, I think it's going to be special. If you could sit down with a 10-year-old Janelle, knowing everything you've experienced and everything you've overcome, what would you want to tell her without crying? No, you can't cry.
Oh, no, I can't not cry. I don't want to leave empty space on radio, but I also don't want to completely break down, because 10-year-old Janelle, I would tell, no one's coming to save you, but it's okay because you're going to save yourself. And that's more powerful. That, the healing from everything will come from within, nothing external. And that, I love this, everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. So I also would like to just give her a hug and let her be held and be that safe space, instead of just saying, it'll be all right, okay, let's tie up your boots and move on, let's push that further down, just allowing space for that 10-year-old Janelle to be held and be safe and feeling emotions. And I'd like to hope that I'm able to do that for my children, that it's okay to feel. It's just not okay to act out and use that as an excuse. So being able to tell Janelle, your life purpose is actually to then go out and help other people.
Have your kids ever heard you say that before?
The safe space, or
what you would like, exactly what you just said then about your 10-year-old, and you said you hope that you could talk to your kids like that?
Definitely my youngest has heard it, because she didn't see the carnage to the extent the other two did. So my youngest is 11. I have an 18-year-old and a 13-year-old, and that comes with time.
Yeah.
So there's still healing in those areas, but that comes with changed behaviour and then being able to see the change before I have that spoken word.
Yeah.
That speaks more volumes than just me telling them things.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing all of that. It's astounded me how you've been so articulate in being able to make sense of so much complexity, from within you, and be able to sort of position it in a way that I know anyone listening in will either be that person, know that person, or parts of that person. It's so very relatable. And your story, whilst it is outstanding and inspiring, it's not that dissimilar to so many other people who actually don't have a voice to be able to even speak to themselves like that and really understand, to be able to have that privilege of, that level of intelligence to sort that out inside your head. And as I said, make sense of it for yourself and for those around you. And, you fought so hard for your family, which might not have looked like it from the outside, but, internally that's where it was all heading. So I really take my hat off to you that you've kept your family intact. And not just a family, but you have a very neurospicy, interesting family that's all very reflective of, you and David and each other. And hats off to David as well for sticking in there, and letting, love, commitment, whatever it was that kept him there, that he's bearing, he's enjoying the fruits of, all of that labour too.
Well, it's nice to be able to give back to him as well. And just to the listeners that maybe did relate a little bit to what was going on, I just want to say you're not alone. There is help out there.
There's not really, actually, guys. There's not really help. As Janelle said, it's up to you.
Well,
you're kind of on your own with it.
to look for the help. I am part of a 12-step program where I speak to other people like me. I also help other people in that program. But even going along to one of these, finding a couple of connections, being able to share your story, just getting it out of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's not always the same for everybody.
No.
I mean, I people that listen into the show know that I'm also, had lived with a relationship with alcohol that I don't have anymore. And, that process was not for me at all. And I did it in total isolation with, tools and things like that. Lots of different tools that I sought out and found. But everyone has a different journey on it. And I think the important thing, though, is finding what's right for you. And complacency is the thing that's going to keep you stuck.
Don't stay comfortable. Nah. Uncomfortable.
So we can squeeze in a final song if you like. And I've got another clue because we haven't used up all the songs. So here it goes, Janelle. Excuse me, madam. May I have this one?
Is it the Lady Gaga? Yes, this reminds me of very much my active...
You can pull your microphone towards you, there you go. That's better, isn't it?
This very much reminds me of my active alcoholic days. So, yeah.
What, you used to literally get up and dance?
Well, where is my phone? Where is my shirt? You listen to the lyrics. It's hilarious.
Well, here we go, people. Thank you again, everyone who's tuned in today. And remember, we will be back on that date in August that I mentioned before. So, as I said before, just be kind, just be caring, don't be a beep, because it literally it can kill people. It literally can. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.